P1 GTR and Vulcan. Why? Well, the same reason that McLaren and Aston Martin made them in the first place. Because it seemed like a very good idea indeed. Any objections?
Okay, so here we go, rolling out of the pit lane at Rockingham in a P1 GTR, following a Vulcan. How nuts is that?
So it's fair to say I'm pretty nervous right now. I haven't driven a lot of race cars or things approaching this. Try and get some heat into these Cup 2s to start with. Heat in the brakes and here and squealing there, coming off the banking.
So, Henry has pulled something out of the bag, hasn't he? Bringing a Vulcan. But I have to say, I should still have an advantage. I have 1,000 PS, 986 horsepower.
First thing to say is, let's Vulcan, what a name! I mean, God of fire. It's better noise, letters than numbers, isn't it?
Presumably, I will have a bit more performance, but downforce wise, it's hard to say.
3 different power modes over there. One beginning with a 5, another with a 6, and then all the way up to the full 820 brake horsepower.
But before we worry too much about which is fastest or which is best, I mean, who really cares? I mean, look at these two cars. Let's just take a moment to take stock of what they represent. These are effectively track day cars. They don't conform to any rules, so they're not restricted by any rules. They're just track day toys, which is just completely insane, isn't it?
So what are the vital statistics of these two cars? Well, let's deal with the similarities first. Both cost around £2 million when they went on sale. Both are rear-wheel drive, both have carbon fibre tubs, carbon fibre bodywork, carbon brakes, and crazy little button festoon steering wheels. But that's pretty much where the similarities end. Technically, both are mid-engined, but in the Aston, the engine is obviously in front of the driver, and in the McLaren, it's behind. The Vulcan produces its power with a naturally aspirated 7-litre development of Aston's 6-litre GT3 race car engine, and feeds it to the track through a sequential X-Track gearbox. Meanwhile, the McLaren utilises the same 3.8-litre turbocharged V8 and hybrid systems that are found in the P1 road car, just with the wicks turned up a bit. The twin-clutch gearbox is also the same as the one in the road car, meaning it's far more civilised. Only 24 Vulcans were produced, but roughly twice as many P1 GTRs were eventually sold, so the Aston is definitely rarer. However, the P1 will reach 60 miles an hour a touch quicker at 2.8 seconds, and although both will crack 200 miles an hour flat out, the P1 GTR will go a smidgen faster thanks to its DRS system. If you had to pick a party piece, the McLaren's is undoubtedly its ability to torque fill with its electric motors, while the Vulcan's tech highlight must be its sophisticated adjustable spool valve dampers on the inboard pushrod suspension. If you're getting a very race car vibe from the Aston, then you'd be right. But strangely, it's also a very beautiful, almost luxurious car in its design.
I love the architectural cabin, it's really beautiful here. I mean, this steering wheel, this is something you expect to find in a jeweller's, not coming out of a car manufacturer's.
It has grip and traction, but it doesn't have so much traction like a race car that when it lets go, it's snappy and you need racer reactions. There's still some road car DNA in that, and that's not a criticism. That's a good thing. It means you can bully it and slide it around a bit more freely than you can in a race car. And it tolerates it, it seems to enjoy it, and it's got this amazing traction control system which you can just lean on. Wow, that Vulcan's quick. And it spits flames, that's cool, isn't it? Wow, following a Vulcan spitting flames in a P1 GTR. I think this is going to rank as one of those days you don't forget.
Woo! What a thing! The aero on this thing actually, because it's front engined, it means the rear diffuser, the aqueducts can start much earlier, start accelerating that air all the way through underneath the cars. So at 190 miles an hour, which I won't be hitting today, this thing in theory should do that old F1 chestnut of sticking to the ceiling.
Oh wow, I'm loving what that Vulcan looks like. It's fantastic. Love it. What a ridiculous day. Wow. Yeah, he's really got some grip through the high speed stuff. Looks so secure on the way into the corners.
Wow. Knowing where that big front end is, it's quite hard to know, but woo, what a thrill! About the same weight as the P1 GTR.
Yes! And I'm going to hold him up through here because I'm not going to go too fast. Wow! Got mirrors full of Vulcan.
Not sure if he's going to open his DRS or not. Woo. He's on slick, so he's going to have more. And he's got more power as well, but you've got hybrid systems and, you know.
Unbelievable that you can have all this performance but have the confidence to actually use it, to open it out, to get on the throttle, to feel the traction help you. I mean, wow. Woo!
What an amazing thing.
After the initial intense laps, it's time to take a breath and come back to the pits for a bit of a debrief.
How's this?
It was awesome. I'd forgotten just like the acceleration is nuts. It's like proper hyperdrive. It's just, you come out the corner and you think you think you're full throttle and then you're a little bit more and it just then is crazy. But what's cool about it, it's like McLaren road cars in the sense, like really good visibility. It looks intimidating, but you jump in, apart from the fact it's so quick, pretty soon you feel relaxed in it. I think it's got that road car DNA going on. Yeah. So you'll love it because you think, oh, I'm going to be scared and there's McLaren pit crew and it's horrible. But within half a lap, you're like, yeah, I'm into this.
Within half a lap in that, you are still scared. I have to say, it's quite intimidating.
When I was following it, and it's like blowing flames at me, and you're clearly working quite hard. I'm impressed with it through the high-speed stuff. Yeah. It looks really locked down.
It's mostly me.
Yeah, obviously. But
no, it feels good through the high-speed stuff. Through the lower speed stuff, you kind of the front wheels just feel so far away.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of. Yeah, you sort of ramp up. You very quickly actually end up on the full 820 brake horsepower bit. I think you'll like
it. Jethro might think that 820 brake horsepower isn't quite enough, but I think he'll love the Vulcan's race car feel. Me, I'm about to feel what an extra 170 brake horsepower and all that monstrous electric boosted torque feels like.
I mean, as soon as you get into this, it's a bit like sort of walking from some dark 19th century cottage into a conservatory or greenhouse or something. So much more light in here, so much easier to see.
P1 GTR might have a less intimidating view from the driver's seat, but the straight line speed of it is instantly on another level.
P1 looks good. So I know I can eat him up through here because I just seem to have more stability, more grip. But he's got the grunt, so there's no question he can get away with me out of the curve. Look at that, just disappears. But my turning speed is better, definitely. Wow, chasing a P1 GTR in a Vulcan is quite a cool feeling. This car is so impressive. It's amazingly easy to drive like the P1, but in a different way. It's got more of that authentic race car feel.
Woo! Wow! Talk about horizontal freefall. If I was coming to a circuit for the first time, I think I'd want to be in the P1 GTR rather than the Aston, simply because although it's faster in a straight line, it gives you confidence on turning and braking and with those sight lines, that all those things that just mean you can push it much harder than the Aston, much more quickly.
Wow, they're fantastic. They're so sort of different characters, but the same brilliant entertainment. Oh, listen to the noise. You would never get bored of that. Never.
God, that sounds like an obvious thing to say, but as you can tell, by now we're having quite a good time and failing to say anything particularly meaningful.
Yeah, track day ultimates. I thought I had it covered. Turns out we both had a very good idea. We both had a very good idea.
Those laps in the P1 GTR was some of the best I've ever had. A clear track, time to get into a groove, and a Vulcan to chase. Seeing so intimately where each car's relative strengths allowed the gaps to grow and shrink was totally absorbing. If there was any doubt as to why you'd want one of these track toys, well, this hour was reason enough for me. Sadly, this being Britain, the rain eventually swept in and put a premature stop to our fun. But even that couldn't really dampen our enthusiasm for this extraordinary pair of cars, which share a common purpose, but almost completely different philosophies. The P1 GTR is incredible, melding the most intense straight-line performance with almost unbelievable approachability. In the corners it feels precise and progressive, letting you really push the front end and even hang out the rear. Visibility is sensational, so you can spot every apex, while the gearbox is smooth and refined. It seems mad, but McLaren has made nearly 1,000 brake horsepower feel usable. You really feel like you can hustle it.
The Vulcan is different. It feels like a GT3 racer, only bigger, louder and angrier. But beneath the noise and the flames is a car that's also easy to drive, balanced and ultimately pretty friendly. It seems crazy to say it, but the straight line performance is almost tame compared to the P1 GTR.